Hey, you're not my kid.
What makes you think that?
Well, for starters, she has blue eyes, and I clearly have brown.
Well, when we look at genetics, we have to consider alleles, which are different versions of the same gene. For example, you have brown eyes. Your wife also has brown eyes, but your daughter has blue. You and your wife both have the genes for eye color, but they might be different or they might be the same. These alleles are separated into two different categories: dominant, which are expressed as long as they are present, and there's also recessive alleles, which must be homozygous to be expressed. Homozygous just means that both of the alleles are dominant or both of them are recessive, or heterozygous. Dominant allele will be expressed is a capital A and a lowercase a. The way that we can look at this has to do with Punnett squares. Here we put the top mating pairs on the top and on the sides, cross it, and now we can see the probabilities of each eye color, considering that blue eyes are recessive to brown eyes. If we follow this type of prediction, we can see that there is a 3/4 chance of brown eyes of the offspring, but there is still a 25% chance of blue eyes. So it is very much possible that you could have a blue-eyed child if your wife has the genes for blue eyes as well.
Okay, fine. We may both have the genes for blue eyes, but how come I have hemophilia and she doesn't?
I'm glad you mentioned hemophilia, which is actually a very interesting thing to study when we look at genetics. Not all traits are determined by things like Punnett squares or Mendelian genetics. Some traits are sex-linked, which hemophilia is. Hemophilia is carried on the X chromosome and is a recessive disorder. Your wife is double X because she's female, you're XY because you are male. Because you don't have a second X to cancel out the recessive X that you have, you exhibit the disease. Your wife is a carrier because although she has the recessive X, she still has another X to balance it out. So she does not exhibit it because remember, in order to exhibit a recessive trait, you have to have both of them be homozygous, but she still carries the trait with her and could pass that on to her kids. And if we look at a Punnett square yet again, we can see that there is a 25% chance that a female offspring will be a carrier. Also, a 25% chance that the female is affected, but more than likely your daughter is a carrier female, meaning that although she carries a gene for hemophilia on her recessive X, because she has another non-recessive X to balance it out, she doesn't exhibit the trait despite carrying it. It's important to remember.
Okay, fine. We both have the same genes for eye color, and she doesn't have hemophilia regardless. So does that mean that she's my kid? Well, I guess all the evidence is there. You really are my kid. Oh, who's that? Your DNA results are in. I'm sorry to inform you, sir, but you are not the father. I thought you said she was mine!
It's important to remember that these are all just probabilities, and deviations from this Punnett square Mendelian genetic system happens all the time. Things like polygenetics, which is where more than one factor affects the expression of a gene, polydominance, or incomplete dominance all affect the combinations and possibilities for these offspring. So it is very much possible that somebody other than a brown-eyed male could produce a blue-eyed child. These are all probabilities, so there was never a guarantee that you were the father unless we did more thorough DNA testing through gel electrophoresis. But that's a conversation for another video.